had our cabinet meeting today, and multiple agendas were taken up during the cabinet meeting. I will just go through the agendas and the approvals that were given. First of all, we had cleared the list of holidays for the year 2025, and this was brought up by GAD. And there is no change in the list. It is as per the list that was there for this year. But as you're aware, as a formality for the cabinet to clear the list for the next year also. So we have done that today. Second is the after the retirement of one of the non-judicial members in the Meghalaya Human Rights Commission, we had a selection committee which is headed by Chief Minister, which had proposed the name of Shri H. Nongplu, retired IPS officer, to be the member or non-judicial in the Meghalaya Human Rights Commission. And that particular name and proposal, which was done by the selection committee, has been today approved by the cabinet. Third was the selection of the candidate for the post of Zilla Scenic Welfare Officer Shillong. And again, a committee headed by the Chief Secretary went through a panel of names, and they have recommended the name of Lieutenant Colonel Sebastian Marbanian, and the cabinet today has approved that particular proposal that has been given by the selection committee headed by the Chief Secretary. The fourth and the fifth agenda was to bring up certain changes in certain rules of the excise department. Without going into the technicalities, I will just briefly explain what these rules are. The first rule that we have changed and provisions that we have brought in is for the concept of what we call a composite license. This is being done in view of the different hotels and especially the five-star hotels that have come up and that are going to come up in the future, to give it a more structured system. Earlier, the licenses that were given to the different hotels were based on the restaurant or the bars, which means that if a particular hotel had 4 bars or 4 restaurants, then they would have to take 4 different licenses for each of these different restaurants or bars if they wanted to serve license. So the idea is to give one composite license to the entire entity so that they don't have to apply for separate licenses. And obviously the charges for these are going to be higher compared to the normal bar licenses, and that is the amendment that was proposed today by the excise department, and we have cleared that. And so the proposal for composite license for hotels has been cleared today by the cabinet. Also, we have cleared the proposal by the excise department to have a QR code based tracking system for the different products being sold by the excise department, which basically in simple terms means that every bottle that is going to be sold in Meghalaya is going to have a QR code tracking QR code on it. This will help us to track the entire journey or whatever you call it of the bottle, so that we know exactly where it had, which shop it was supposed to be sold, if there is any leakage in the system. So we'll be able to track this entire system, and we are expecting that this will have anything between 5% to 10% of impact on the overall revenue, and the leakage that we are seeing in today's system will be plugged by the use of the QR code technology. And this is one thing that we have been wanting to implement in the excise department, and we are happy that today this has been cleared by and approved by the cabinet, and we'll take this forward. So that was the fifth agenda that was taken up. Apart from that, we had a detailed presentation. It was not a formal item, but it was a presentation that was given by the transport department, which is basically for the expansion of the Shillong airport. As you are aware that we have been facing a large number of challenges, and previous technical reports had made it quite difficult for us to actually go into the feasibility of expanding the airport. But after doing a study which was sanctioned by the state government last year, to do a LIDAR survey of the entire area around the airport, about 20 square kilometers was studied. And this is, of course, being done with Airport Authority of India on board. We are happy to inform that we have been able to come out with few options where in the existing airport itself we should be able to extend the runway, which would make it feasible for at least the Airbus A320 and the Boeing 737. 737, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Boeing 737, which is about 180, 170 seater aircrafts. In layman's term, basically the Indigo flights and the SpiceJet flights that we normally take. So this particular study and this particular master plan and this implementation should allow us to make the landing of these aircrafts feasible in the existing airport that we have. Of course, there are certain more clearances that are required. Further discussions have to be done with Government of India, especially with DGCA and the Civil Aviation Ministry. So we are on the job. It is still at, you can say, the process and the planning stage is still on. But the initial report that we have seen today from the Transport Department is very encouraging and very positive, and we are hopeful that we should be able to take this forward. But as I said, that I will not jump the gun right now. We will only come out with a detailed press note and all the facts once we are able to clear all the clearances and meetings with the DGCA and the Civil Aviation Ministry. But since this was in the agenda, and since we discussed this, and since it's a positive news for all of us, I thought I would share this with you that after the meeting we had, we are quite hopeful that we should be able to extend the runway. And we're hopeful that if all there are different aspects, we need some kind of permissions from DGCA, because DGCA is the ultimate authority to give us the license to move forward. And hence, we could have certain issues. It would be wrong on my part to sit here and say that everything is now on track and we're ready to move forward. So what I'm trying to tell you is that we have done our part. Transport Department along with Airport Authority has now submitted this proposal, or at least gone through this proposal and given us a feasibility. The next step now is to sit with DGCA and present this to DGCA, and we're hopeful that when this is presented to DGCA, if there are any issues to be taken up, we hope that those issues will be resolved. And that's the only reason why I've said that. So those will be as per the discussions. And as I said, it's too early for me to go into those details. But since DGCA is the authority, all I'm saying is that it's not correct on my part as a state government to say that we are on track. Everything is now. Next step is with DGCA, and I'm hopeful that that meeting also will be positive. We are working very hard on this. But I think the bottom line at the end of the day is that we have we are seeing the roadmap in front of us. That is what is important. And we didn't have this roadmap before. We really didn't know how to move forward because the old studies were showing a very complicated challenge in front of us. But now this new study has brought out this new process and a new way forward. And now the next step will be to meet DGCA, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to find a way forward.
That's why the government had to be few hills in the past 2 years.
Yes.
I mean, where those hills not part of this plan?
So those hills were part of the initial plan. If we had not cut those, then even the flights that are landing now would not have landed. So now we when we cut those hills, it paved the way for us to bring the regional connectivity through Udan, the Q400 flights, the ATRs landing, and other aircraft landing. If we had not cut those hills at that point in time, even those aircrafts would not have landed. But now we're looking at the bigger aircrafts and bigger challenge. So which means now we have to see right now. Please note, I'm not saying we have to cut any hills right now. Please, you have to quote me correctly. Right now, the way we had to do it earlier, before the Q400 and the ATRs landed, was at a larger scale. We had to clear the mountains. We were told that we'll have to clear bigger mountains for the bigger aircrafts to come in. That is not what's going to happen now, is what I'm telling you. Now we know that we only have to clean up, you can say, a bit of here and there, maybe some bits sticking out here and there. It's very, very bare minimum, very bare minimum, even lesser than what happened last 5 years back when we took the decision. We went ahead, which paved the way to bring in whatever 15,000 passengers flying every month into Shillong city today, into the airport. I'm sorry. So that was paved the way. Now what we're going to do is very bare minimum. Now our focus is on the extension of the runway, clearing up a bit of hurdles here and there in terms of mountains, no major chopping, and therefore the cost is going to be drastically very, very, very low compared to what we had expected.